Welcome to this edition of News Today, a series where we briefly discuss and analyze the important news of the day. Without delay, let's explore the headlines that are shaping the current news landscape. A memorandum of settlement has been signed between Government of India, Government of Assam, and representatives of United Liberation Front of Assam. Financial Intelligence Unit of India issues compliance show cause notices to 9 offshore virtual digital asset service providers. RBI has extended the Payments Infrastructure Development Fund or PIDF scheme till 2025. The Parliamentary Standing Committee flags poor quality roads under Pradhan Mantri Sadak Yojana. The Union Minister has launched National Transit Pass System, One Nation, One Pass. A toolkit has been released by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and Janagrah for property tax reform. Starting with the first news. A memorandum of settlement has been signed between the Government of India, Government of Assam and representatives of the United Liberation Front of Assam. Let's start by shedding light on the key highlights of the tri-party agreement. 97 of assembly seats in Assam would now be reserved for indigenous people. Additionally, a substantial investment of about 1.5 lakh crore rupees had been pledged to foster development in the region. It also focuses on constitutional safeguards for protecting land rights and putting restrictions on migration from one constituency to another. Now let's understand what the United Liberation Front of Assam is. It was formed in 1979 with the demand for a sovereign Assam for the indigenous people of the state. Since then, it has been involved in subversive activities that led to the central government declaring it a banned outfit in 1990. In 2011, United Liberation Front of Assam split into two groups. Pro-Talk faction of the group joined peace talks with the government in 2011 after an agreement for suspension of operations was signed. Other faction known as ULFA Independent has not joined the peace process. Since 2020, Centre signed peace deals with rebel Bodo, Dimasa, Karbi and Adivasi outfits in Assam. Last month, a similar peace deal was signed with the Manipur-based insurgent group United National Liberation Front. Moving on to the next news, Financial Intelligence Unit of India issues compliance show causes notices to 9 offshore virtual digital asset service providers or VDASPs. Virtual digital asset service providers, whether operating within or outside India's borders, are involved in activities like converting between digital assets and traditional currencies, transferring digital assets and safeguarding or managing digital assets. Show cause notices were also issued under Section 13 of Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Let's start by understanding about the concerns of money laundering due to virtual digital assets. Starting with, the funds can be raised through illegal activities by selling illegal goods or services in return of virtual assets. Also, the ill-gotten virtual assets can be converted into fiat currencies with a traditional financial system. Further, it entails conversion of fiat assets into virtual assets, exchanging virtual assets and vice versa. The establishment of a seemingly legitimate online company that accepts crypto payments to legitimize income and clean dirty crypto. Finally, it can employ anonymizing services like mixers and tumblers that can be used to break the links between crypto transactions. Further now, let's talk about the regulatory framework for virtual digital asset service providers in India. Virtual digital asset service providers were brought into the ambit of Anti-Money Laundering Counter-Financing of Terrorism framework under Prevention of Money Laundering Act in March 2023. They are required to be registered with the Financial Intelligence Unit of India as a reporting entity. So far, 31 VDASPs have registered Financial Intelligence Unit. Talking about Financial Intelligence Unit India, it falls under the purview of the Ministry of Finance. It was set up in 2004 as a central national agency responsible for receiving, processing, analyzing and disseminating information relating to suspect financial transactions. It is an independent body reporting directly to the Economic Intelligence Council headed by the Finance Minister. Moving on, the RBI has extended the Payments Infrastructure Development Fund or PIDF scheme till 2025. Let's start by first understanding about the PIDF scheme. The scheme was first operationalized in 2021 for 3 years, aiming to encourage deployment of payment acceptance infrastructure such as physical point-of-sale terminals, quick response codes in Tier 3 to Tier 6 centers, northeastern states and UTs of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. It was then extended to street vendors covered under Prime Minister's Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi or PM Swanidhi scheme in Tier 1 and Tier 2 centers. PIDF is governed through an advisory council and managed and administered by RBI. It covers various types of acceptance devices such as physical point of sale, mobile physical point of sale, GPRS or General Packet Radio Service, and the public switched telephone network. To widen the scope of beneficiaries and acceptance infrastructure, there have been some enhancements made under the scheme. Let's discuss them. Beneficiaries of PM Vishwakarma scheme in all centers have been included as merchants under PIDF scheme. Soundbox devices and Aadhaar-enabled biometric devices are also eligible for claim of subsidy under the scheme. Also, subsidies for special focus areas have been made uniform at 90% of the cost of the device, irrespective of the type of device. Now let's know about the other initiatives taken to promote digital payments. The first one is the Aadhaar-enabled payment system allows individuals to conduct financial transactions on a micro ATM by furnishing their Aadhaar number. Second is Aadhaar Payment Bridge System, which allows ease in bulk and recurring government benefits and subsidy payments. The Unified Payments Interface has also been introduced as a single platform, merging various banking services and features under one umbrella. At last, the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharta Abhiyan has also been introduced to widespread digital literacy.
Coming to the next news, the Parliamentary Standing Committee flags poor quality roads under Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. The Yojana was launched in 2000 as a centrally sponsored scheme to assist the states in providing all-weather road connectivity to all eligible unconnected habitations in rural areas. It aims to connect areas with a population of up to 500 persons in plain areas, 250 and above in special category states, desert areas, tribal or Schedule 5 areas, and selected tribal and backward districts. Coming to the present status, around 96.24% and 97.01% of the sanctioned project have been completed under PMGSY-1 and PMGSY-2 respectively. But there are several challenges like poor road materials, subletting of work to petty contractors, diversion of heavy vehicle traffic to rural roads, poor maintenance due to inadequate budget, etc. Now coming to government response and actions. The implementation of electronic maintenance of rural roads under PMGSY or e-Marg in all the states. The online management, monitoring and accounting system for effective monitoring. Lastly, Maintenance Board to provide information to citizens about the provisions of 5-year maintenance of PMGSY roads. A few recommendations for the same include merging the unskilled labor component of the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act or MGNREGA with PMGSY, devising a better cohesive mode of center-state coordination, and lastly, stricter compliance with the provision of on-site road quality testing labs. Recently, the Union Minister has launched the National Transit Pass System or the NTPS One Nation, One Pass. It is under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change to facilitate the seamless transit of timber, bamboo and other minor forest produce across the country. Currently, transit permits are issued for the transport of timber and forest produce based on state-specific transit rules. NTPS enables managing records for both interstate and intrastate transportation of timber, bamboo and MFP from private lands, government and private depots. States have exempted some species grown on private land from the purview of transit permits. To transport these species, no objection certificate is provided. Now, what are the benefits of NTPS? Well, the NTPS will contribute to the ease of doing business by streamlining the issuance of transit permits by providing a unified online mode across the country. It provides a significant impetus to the agroforestry sector, saving transportation costs and time and seamless movement across state borders. Under the Forest Rights Act of 2006, MFP includes all non-timber forest produce of plant origin including bamboo, brushwood, stumps, etc. The forest dwellers are legally empowered with the ownership and governance of the MFP through the Panchayat Extension to Schedule Areas Act 1996 and FRA 2006. let's go through the other initiatives to promote forest produce and MFP. Pradhan Mantri Van Dhan Yojana, which focuses on developing value chains for forest-based products and enhancing the income of tribal communities. Indian Forest and Wood Certification Scheme, which offers voluntary third-party certification designed to promote sustainable forest management and agroforestry. And lastly, the mechanism for marketing of MFP through minimum support price and development of value chain. Recently, a toolkit has been released by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and Janagraha for property tax reform. It provides an easy-to-use handbook for policymakers to reform property tax in urban local bodies or ULBs. Let's go through the key observations related to property tax. It was one of the major sources of municipal corporations' own revenue, but the collections were far below the potential. Its collections should reach Rs 40,000 crores in 2024 from the current estimate of approximately Rs 20,000 crores. Low property tax collections are due to multiple exemptions, suboptimal tax rates, property undervaluations, and lack of maintenance of land records. Now coming to the major challenges in revenue mobilization for urban local bodies. Urban local bodies' own resources of revenue are less than half of their total revenue, which results in dependency on transfer. The ULB's key revenue sources are taxes, fees, fines, and charges and transfers from central and state governments. Inadequate technical and financial expertise and support. The lack of functional and fiscal devolution to municipal bodies by state government. To deal with the challenges, a slew of measures can be taken. For example, exploring innovative financing mechanisms like PPP, municipal bonds, etc. Investing in technology and capacity building to improve tax collection efficiency. Revision of the user charges periodically to realistic levels. And lastly, granting greater autonomy and fiscal flexibility to ULBs by the state government. The place in the news for today is Nicaragua, with its capital, Managua. Recently, a Nicaragua-bound plane carrying Indians was grounded in France over concerns of human trafficking. Let's briefly discuss the political features of Nicaragua. It is a country in Central America. Its bordering nations include Honduras in the north and Costa Rica in the south. And the bordering water bodies include Caribbean Sea in the east and Pacific Ocean in the west. Coming to its geographical features, its major mountains include Yojana, Amerisk, and Huapi. The major volcanoes are Momotombo, San Cristobal, and Concepcion. Negro, Estoril, Tamarindo are its major rivers, while Nicaragua and Lake Tizcapa are its major lakes. The highest point of Nicaragua is Mogoton Peak, which is 2,103 meters high from the sea level.
As we conclude today's main news, let's take a look at some quick updates. RBI released a draft licensing framework for authorized person under Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. Authorized persons are entity authorized by RBI to deal in forex. The Act's objective is to facilitate external trade and payments, promote orderly development and maintenance of the forex market in India. South Africa filed a case at International Court of Justice against Israel, accusing it of crimes of genocide acts in Gaza. Established in 1945 by the Charter of the United Nations and began work in 1946, the International Court of Justice is located in The Hague. It is composed of 15 judges elected to 9-year terms. They are also eligible for re-election. Government raised interest rates on the Sukanya Samriddhi scheme. It is a small deposit scheme for girl child launched in 2015 as part of the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao. Account can be opened in the name of a girl child till her age of 10 years. Minimum initial deposit of 250 rupees. Thereafter, amount in the multiple of 50 rupees can be deposited with the annual ceiling of 1,50,000 in a financial year. Recently, Eurasian otters were found in the Chinar Wildlife Sanctuary in Kerala. Eurasian otter are a shy, nocturnal, good swimmer and a fish catcher. They are semi-aquatic, living in water bodies, marshes, swamp forests and coastal areas. Their conservation status as per the IUCN list is nearly threatened. IPS officer Neena Singh became the first woman CISF chief. Central Industrial Security Force is an armed force of the Union established under the CISF Act of 1968. It comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs and its mandate is better protection and security of industrial undertakings owned by the government. RBI clarified that it is not mandatory for regulated entities to raise green deposits. Green deposit is an interest-bearing deposit received by the regulated entities for a fixed period and the proceeds of which are earmarked for being allocated towards green finance. Currently, green deposits can be denominated in Indian rupee only. Bureau of Indian Standards formed a dedicated technical committee, Marine Energy Conversion Systems Sectional Committee, to promote standardization in the field of marine energy conversion systems. Bureau of Indian Standards is the national standard body of India established under the Bureau of Indian Standards Act 2016. Cybersecurity researchers have issued a warning about a new malware. Chameleon Trojan attaches itself to legitimate Android apps to avoid detection and runs code in the background. It uses accessibility services on Android devices to disable biometric authentication methods like fingerprint and face unlock to steal the phone's personal identification number or PIN. Before we go, it's time to put your knowledge to the test in today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed this edition of News Today. To get the answers to today's quiz and to download the PDF of News Today, make sure to check out the links in the description below.